Hi, boys and girls. This is our story for today, Alvin and the Chipmunks, A Chipmunk Christmas. All right, let's get started. In a small cottage atop the North Pole, Santa Claus was getting ready for another busy Christmas. Every Christmas and every child was special, and Santa never forgot a single one, especially those three famous singing chipmunk brothers, Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore lived with Dave Seville. Simon was a very studious chipmunk. Theodore was a jolly little fellow who loved to eat. And then there was Alvin, who was always had a way of getting in trouble. Sometimes it seemed Dave spent his whole day screaming, "Alvin!" It was the first day of Christmas vacation, and the chipmunks were extremely excited. Simon Theodore woke up. "Only 5 more days till Christmas. Jingle bells, Santa Claus, presents, and no homework," said Alvin. "Come on, let's get Dave up." Simon yawned and said, "I don't think Dave wants to get up this early." But it didn't take much for the other two to convince him, and the three chipmunks raced down the hall to Dave's room. Alvin climbed on top of Dave's nightstand, pulled out his trusty harmonica, blew a note, and the chipmunks began to do what they do best. They sang. Dave slowly opened his eyes and sat up. "Well, good morning, boys. I see you've been practicing for today's recording session." The chipmunks looked at each other in shock. "But Dave, it's Christmas vacation," said Alvin. "Couldn't we go shopping instead for a new longboard or a bicycle or a hula hoop or encyclopedias?" asked Simon. "Or candy?" asked Theodore. "Or a robot or a spaceship or a stereo or TV?" rattled Alvin. "Alvin!" shouted Dave. "Okay," Alvin shouted back. It took some discussion, but Dave agreed to let the chipmunks go shopping before the recording session. Before Dave could change his mind, the brothers were out the door and at the store. Everyone was in the Christmas spirits. Lights decorated the windows and wreaths hung on the walls. The store was abuzz with happy shoppers racing to make their last Christmas purchases. Simon was busy in the toy section playing with a toy plane. Theodore was in the food department having a snack. And Alvin? Alvin was in the music department, where he saw a little girl and her mother. They were talking about her brother, Alvin's new school friend, Winchester, who was a very sick boy. His mother wanted to buy him a new harmonica, but she didn't have enough money to pay for it. Winchester's doctor bills were enormous. Alvin couldn't believe what he heard. He felt terrible for Winchester and his family. He wanted to help, but what could one little chipmunk do? Just then, Simon raced over and shouted, "Come on, guys, we're late." Alvin, Simon, and Theodore were supposed to be at the recording studio, and Dave hated when they were late. Sure enough, the chipmunks were late. A 20-piece orchestra was ready and waiting for the singers in the studio. Dave became upset as he watched the musicians who had nothing to do. Dave calculated how much money the session was costing him. Even though the chipmunks weren't there and he wasn't happy, luckily the chipmunks burst into the studio and got into position to sing just before Dave yelled, "Alvin!" "All right, fellas," Dave said with relief. "Ready to sing your song?" "I'll say we are," replied Simon and Theodore. "Ready, Alvin?" asked Dave. There was no answer. Alvin was busy thinking about Winchester. "Alvin!" Dave called out. Alvin! Dave called out again, and this time Alvin heard him. Okay, Alvin said, and the chipmunks started singing. But something was still not right. Alvin sounded flat. He couldn't concentrate on the song with Winchester and the harmonica on his mind. The chipmunks tried the song again, but this time Alvin sang all the wrong words. If only there was a way to help Winchester feel better, thought Alvin. And all of a sudden, Alvin knew exactly what to do. He grabbed his harmonica and ran out of the studio. Alvin! Shouted Dave as Alvin headed for Winchester's house. Winchester was laying in bed, too sick to play, but boy was he happy to see Alvin. Merry Christmas, Winchester! Exclaimed Alvin as he handed the boy his own harmonica. Thank you so much, the boy said weakly and smiled. It was exactly what he wanted for Christmas. Winchester was so happy. With a warm, fuzzy feeling in his heart, Alvin skipped back to the recording studio. He told his brothers what he had done and then sang the song perfectly from start to finish. This time, Alvin sounded fantastic. The next day, the Chipmunks and Dave decorated their Christmas tree. Simon was making popcorn garland and Theodore was busy eating popcorn off the other end. Alvin was on the phone with a newspaper reporter who wanted to write a story about him and his harmonica. Alvin handed Dave the phone and started feeling a little worried. It's a very special harmonica, Dave told the reporter. I had to work 3 jobs to pay for it, but it was worth it. That harmonica means a lot to Alvin. In fact, he's never without it. The chipmunks looked at Alvin. What are we going to do when Dave finds out you gave your harmonica away? Asked Theodore. Dave will never know, said Alvin. We just have to make some money and buy Winchester a new harmonica. Then I can get mine back. After Alvin's first money-making plan got off to a running start, Alvin had put on a Santa costume and he gathered an odd assortment of reindeer to pull his homemade sleigh. The chipmunks were charging $1 per pitcher, and they had attracted quite a crowd. Dave did not understand what the chipmunks were doing. He was worried they had forgotten the true meaning of Christmas. What are they doing now? He wondered. Dave went outside to check the chipmunks just as the animals broke free from the sleigh. Alvin! Uh-oh. After they lost the reindeer, the chipmunks got busy with plan number 2 to raise money for the harmonica. It was a beautiful day, and Alvin was sitting above a water tank. The chipmunks were charging money for a chance to throw a ball at a target and dunk Alvin. Plan number 3 was a pre-Christmas babysitting scheme. People all over town loved this service. They were happy to have the chipmunks watch their children so they could finish their shopping. Dave's house was a mess, and the chipmunks were surrounded by babies. But they had finally made some money to buy the new harmonica. Alvin just hoped it was enough. Alvin pocketed the money and joined the rest of the shoppers at the department store. He went straight to the music section and picked up the harmonica. It was very expensive. More expensive than he had thought. Alvin didn't have enough money after all. The sad chipmunk didn't know what else to do, so he played a beautiful Christmas song. After he finished, a jolly old lady walked up to Alvin. "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard," she said. "I'd like to buy that harmonica for you." "Oh, no, I couldn't let you," Alvin replied. "Sure you could," said the little old lady. "Okay, thank you." And the grateful chipmunk, knowing it was for a good cause, Alvin was overjoyed. Now he could give this new harmonica to Winchester and get his own trusty one back. He was full of Christmas spirit as he played another song. The little old lady disappeared into the crowd just as Winchester and his mother walked over to Alvin. Winchester was feeling much better. The doctor said it was a miracle and he was going to be fine. "Having your harmonica has done so much for Winchester," his mother explained. "We read the article about you and your harmonica in the paper. It was generous of you to give it to Winchester, but we think you should have it back." Alvin took his harmonica from Winchester and traded it for the new one. Now both boys were delighted. Finally, Christmas arrived at the Seville house, and everyone was merry. The Chipmunks had shown Dave that they had the true spirit of Christmas all along. Back at the North Pole, Santa and a very familiar-looking Mrs. Claus were having their own celebration. All the presents had been delivered, including an extra special harmonica that had made a little chipmunk and a sick little boy very happy. And that was how the spirit of Christmas is all about. The end. All right, boys and girls, that's it for today.